Welcome to National Liberty Alliance's weekly call. Today is Monday, January 6th, 2025. We broadcast live every Monday from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're listening over Rumble or YouTube or another network and you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, you can go to nationallibertyalliance.org and click on our weekly call for instructions to join us by phone, app, or browser. If anybody would like to email a question, you can send your questions to questions, that's plural, questions, at nationallibertyalliance.org. Also, please support our business partners. You can find their banners on the right side of our website, of which the proceeds go to support NLA's effort to save our republic. Also, please support NLA by donating $5 a month or more. Click on our donation tab on the top right side of our website. Okay, we're going to pick up with our scripture reading where we left off last week. Let me bring us over to, I guess. All right, we're in the Gospel of John, being read chapter 9 by Alexander Scorby.
Chapter 9. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me, while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground, and made clay of the spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation, sent. He went his way therefore, and washed, and came seeing. The neighbors therefore, and they which before had seen him that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay, and anointed mine eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. Then said they unto him, Where is he? He said, I know not. They brought to the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. Then again the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. He said unto them, He put clay upon mine eyes, and I washed, and do see. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, This man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. Others said, How can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was a division among them. They say unto the blind man again, What sayest thou of him that he hath opened thine eyes? He said, He is a prophet. But the Jews did not believe concerning him, that he had been blind and received his sight, until they called the parents of him that had received his sight. And they asked them, saying, Is this your son, who ye say was born blind? How then doth he now see? His parents answered them and said, We know that this is our son, and that he was born blind. But by what means he now seeth we know not, or who hath opened his eyes we know not. He is of age, ask him, he shall speak for himself. These words spake his parents because they feared the Jews, for the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he should be put out of the synagogue. Therefore said his parents, He is of age, ask him. Then again called they the man that was blind, and said unto him, Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner. He answered and said, Whether he be a sinner or no, I know not. One thing I know, that whereas I was blind, now I see. Then said they to him again, What did he to thee? How opened he thine eyes? He answered them, I have told you already, and ye did not hear. Wherefore would ye hear it again? Will ye also be his disciples? Then they reviled him, and said, Thou art his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know that God spake unto Moses. As for this fellow, we know not from whence he is. The man answered and said unto them, Why, herein is a marvelous thing. that ye know not from whence he is, and yet he hath opened mine eyes. Now we know that God heareth not sinners. But if any man be a worshipper of God, and doeth his will, him he heareth. Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind? If this man were not of God, he could do nothing. They answered and said unto him, Thou wast altogether born in sins, and dost thou teach us? And they cast him out. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and when he had found him, he said unto him, Dost thou believe on the Son of God? He answered and said, Who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? And Jesus said unto him, Thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. And he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. And Jesus said, For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also? Jesus said unto them, If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now ye say, We see, therefore your sin remaineth.
Okay, by the way, the queue is open, *6 and a 1. Anybody wants to get into the queue by phone. And if you're on an app or browser, there should be a button there to get into the queue. Jan, do we have any questions or announcements for the night?
Yes, Terry has an announcement she'd like to make tonight.
Okay.
Hi, John. I got a call from somebody in D.C., and they offered me one ticket to the inauguration of Donald Trump. And I don't think I can use it, so if anybody wants one, send email to terry@nationallibertyalliance.org with some way that I can get a hold of you. And I don't know how I'm going to raffle it or, anything like that, but we'll see who replies. So just send, if you want to go to the inauguration here on the 20th in D.C., send me an email, terry@nationallibertyalliance.org. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Terry. All right, are there any questions?
Yes, John, we have several questions tonight. The first one is, for those who are using NLA's Notice and Demand form for redress of grievances, in the event that the respondent defaults and the plaintiff sue, does that render the respondent, now defendant, unable to rebut or dispute the suit, and that the plaintiff automatically prevails and is awarded damages without any objection from the opposing party or parties?
Well, it should be a lot easier than what they make it, because they don't really, I'm talking about the courts, they don't want to accept common law processes. But there is a way you can go about dealing with it. But again, you're going to get resistance if you're up against the status quo. Once you send a notice and demand and they default on it, and you send them the notice of that default, the next step would be to move it into the court for them to show cause why a judgment shouldn't be taken against them, and of course produce that paperwork as the reason why a default should be taken against them. And that would be the process to go through the courts to do that. They will probably, at least at this point in time, they will probably, just push it forward as a regular case. And again, if it's up against the status quo, it's going to be, uphill battle, although things are about to change. And but it's still going to take some time on the federal level. We're communicating with certain individuals. We've sent our papers in. I'm not sure where we're going to go with paperwork in the next month or two, but I think there's going to have to be some paperwork that we'll have to send into the federal courts, particularly to the United States Supreme Court. But we have to first see where Trump is going with this. We know he's getting rid of all the prosecutors, at least that's what I've heard him say. There's 94 federal prosecutors, and of course they have deputies underneath them that they appoint themselves in each one of these 94 federal districts. and I understand that Trump's getting rid of all of them. He should be getting rid of all of the judges. He should get rid of every judge on the bench. Just throw them out and refill every judge on the bench. That's a big order. And if that's his plan, then he must have been working on this for quite some time in the sense of finding the right people to get them together, because there'd be hundreds of judges that have to be put in place. And I'm not really too sure about that on the number of judges. Well, I guess there would be. You know, there's 94 federal district courts. There should be 94 chief justices. And then, of course, you would think, on the one hand, that as the prosecutors, those judges would be able to appoint judges, but I don't believe that's the way it goes. Other judges to be appointed throughout the system would have to go before the Senate for approval. And so that would be the process. So there's some work that needs to be done there. And of course, we here at National Liberty Alliance have a lot of work to do on that too. And again, I'm not sure exactly how we would be going about and what we're going to be doing until we see what Trump does and what the court looks like once we get through this mess with all of those people who are guilty of subversion. And, you know, I've been asking for some funds because things have gotten quite expensive. And, you know, we're struggling along, but we're making it as we go along. I want to thank those who have given some monies. We've collected a couple of $1,000s, so it really has helped to catch us up on bills and things. But, you know, we got over 11,000 members, and I think we had probably about 20 people or so that had given. And like I said, that was good. But I'd like to ask others, you know, again, we'd like to go professional. And the only way we're going to go professional is by getting some funding. And for those, you know, if everybody gives $5 a month, that's a cup of coffee and a bagel or a donut or something once a month. It's about, with inflation these days, it's about what $5 is worth. So if everybody gave $5 a month, that would be quite a bit of money over the course of time, and we'd be able to go professional and actually pay people and get some real serious work done. But in any event, we always need money anyway just to operate and keep the, you know, the lights on, so to speak. So, but it's up to the people on getting their courts back. You know, again, we file a lot of papers, and if lawyers filed the papers we filed over the years, we'd be tens of millions of dollars in debt. And yet, of course, we don't charge to have these things done. We just look for the cost of filing. But anyway, next question.
Okay, in the NLA newsletter mailed to all members, I have noticed in some of the news article links that there is discussion about the upcoming Trump administration and Congress's plans to benefit gun owners and supporters. That is all well and good, but looking closely at it, it seems like it is just reinventing the wheel. All of those proposals, I believe, are with good intent. Yep.
Jed, can you hang on a second? My dog is barking. I want to just let her out the door. Hang on. Sorry. Okay, back. I apologize. Can you start all over on that?
Sure, no problem. In the NLA newsletter mailed to all members, I have noticed in some of the news article links that there is discussion about the upcoming Trump administration and Congress's plans to benefit gun owners and supporters. That is all well and good, but looking closely at it, it seems like it is just reinventing the wheel. All of those proposals, I believe, are with good intent, but all of the targeted items are already constitutionally null and void. Why not save all the legislative effort and just inform the people of their sovereignty, and that statutes, especially from foreign D.C. and even the 50 states, never had any jurisdiction over them, and any jurisdiction in the several 50 states of the Union is extremely limited to interstate commerce, such as FFL dealers and licensed manufacturers, not the people.
Okay, and So the question is, why don't we do this? Is that the question?
Well, they feel that it's already done.
Well, it is true, but, look, people will be as free as they understand and exercise that freedom to be. And that's it. If people are ignorant to their liberties, and, then we'll continue under, phony or fake law and civil law ultimately. And again, people need to come and learn and understand. We need to get this into the schools and train up our children. But people who, of course, those of us who are no longer in school, we need to get educated, and that's, of course, what we try to do here at National Liberty Alliance. But it is true. They really don't have to go through much changes to make things right. Things that are repugnant to the Constitution is simply null and void. And it doesn't take necessarily the people to do it from the standpoint from the populace, although that is one way to do it. Definitely do it that way in the courts. But really, that's why we're trying to educate this large group of this group of people, about 30 of them, roughly speaking, that we're aware of, that's working with Trump and trying to do the right thing to bring us back under order, law and order. We need to educate them to understand this, that they can do it. The 17th Amendment is null and void because it's repugnant to the Constitution, and it destroys the balance of power. The 16th Amendment is null and void because it puts a tax on people, although the United States Supreme Court has ruled that it really adds nothing new, because we really don't get income per se the way that it's expressed. But of course, on that side of things, the IRS is going to be gone, income tax is going to be gone, property tax is going to be gone. These things have to go, and we don't need to make any changes. We don't need to go through any process of constitutional convention to do any of these things, to get rid of things that are null and void because they're repugnant. Same thing with laws. And it's also going to take some time on the lower end before the lower courts, and it's going to be hard for them to give up what they've got because they got a good con job going down there, making lots and lots of money on traffic tickets and all other different things that they do in these town courts, city courts, and village courts. So again, that's going to take a little time, but it's going to take people to go into those courts and sue those people for denial of their due process, and to take them up to a court that understands that, and then they start to get burnt on that, and they understand that. All of those little courts down on the lower end will have to disappear because they won't be able to be funded. They're being funded by the fleecing of people. And once they can no longer do that, they can't afford to maintain those courts. That means a lot of the police forces also would start to degrade. But that would put more people ultimately into the sheriff's side of things. And, of course, certain cities, of course, that would want to continue with a police force. But, again, their revenue on a police force, more often than not, comes from traffic violations and different other code violations. And, again, all of that is unlawful. So there are a lot of major changes that need to be taking place in America. It's going to take some time. And it's going to take the people to do what they got to do, but they have to have knowledge on the lower end, so to speak, in the lower courts. But again, as far as in Congress, up on the higher end, where these people, if we can get them educated and they really are serious about doing the work, in Congress and in the Senate, then they can make a lot of changes very quickly. And the federal courts will have to back up the people as they bring their cases before the federal court for them to champion the Constitution. So, but again, all this happens through education. No education, you don't get there. We have to get rid of parties. And if you don't understand why, well, we're never going to get rid of parties. Parties are repugnant to our republic, especially a natural law republic. But it's repugnant to any republic. Because it destroys the republic. It always brings us back to a democracy, which is mob rule. No matter how you get it, you'll end up with mob rule, and of course a lot of corruption. So, but anyway, education is the key, and I know Trump spoke about something about the right to have a weapon, the right to carry. And it shouldn't be restricted anywhere. So he kind of agrees with that principle on as far as the Second Amendment is concerned. So anyway, we're going to see how things go. But bear in mind, NLA can only do as much work as they're capable of doing. We need more help. We'd love to go professional because that's what we really need to do. But we definitely need more help. And of course, we need some more monies in order for the paperwork, the flow of paperwork and the serving of those papers. That costs quite a bit of money over time, depending on how many people we're writing to and sending papers to and filing and so on. But we'll see where all that goes also. So anyway, education is the key. It's the only way.
Okay. Approximately 6 weeks ago, I can recall that you said that you had, I believe, about 15 cases and how there is a claim that we can join. I can't remember the name, but I know it started with an A, and you said we could join. Can you explain this as to what kind of case, claims, and how to join?
Well, I think they're talking about if you're stuck in an abusive court and you click on that button there, and these are the type of cases that you could join. But actually you can join almost any case, but generally these cases. And basically all we're doing with that is really putting them on notice. We have filed a lot of cases, a lot more than 15 cases of people who have joined up with us. We were doing it in a different way a while back, but right now we're doing it by affidavit. So if anybody has a case that they're being abused in these courts, they can write an affidavit and follow the instructions that is given on this page to join. Let me see, I'm pretty sure it's on this page. You have file an affidavit right here. So you download the affidavit form, okay, and basically fill that out. Let me open it up. We'll take a quick look at that. One of the key things is we don't want anybody's court case because we don't have an army of people that can go through cases, read cases, and try to help and do that kind of thing. That's why people need to get educated. They need to take care of their own business. But what we can do is we can attach the information from their case and through affidavit. If you look at the top of this paper, it says if there is a court case, do not attach, just fill in the following case number, court name, the judge, and the address of the court. Then your affidavit concerning, your situation and your case, and then you will attach that to the paperwork that we've been filing into the courts, and we're looking to resurrect those cases. But generally speaking, it would go back to the individual to actually have to defend the case that they're up against. And most cases, I should imagine, should be won because really the people are being abused and they're denying us due process. They're coming after us with civil law, which is a denial of due process. It's repugnant to the Constitution, and so on. So anyway, that's what you could do to join up on this. But again, you can also do this on your own too, because once things get onto the other side of things, you can resurrect your case. We'll work on paperwork for that kind of thing at some point in the near future. I'll think that out a little bit and see, maybe some kind of a form for resurrecting a case, generally speaking, because we haven't had a court of justice here in America that I'm aware of in a very long time. As long as I've been alive, I don't know that I've ever seen a court of justice. But next question.
I would like a video of how to use a cease and desist form and what one likes finished. Can we do that?
Well, if I could find the time to do it, I do have a plan to make a series of videos. I haven't been able to. I have a list of it. I did start doing some at some point in time. I'm going to start pumping them out, maybe putting one a week up or something. I'm trying to get our YouTube, not our YouTube, but our Rumble channel going. We have been picking up a lot of hits on Rumble, and some of our older stuff that people are finding, and then we have different series going on. We have studies that go on. We have Monday night programs. We have, the other things on just topics and so on. But anyway, We're trying to build that up, which is educational, all educational. So maybe we can add something like that. But again, we do have the paperwork for that, and you can find that under. I'm sure they're probably aware of that. But you can find that in two places. You can find it in the course, okay, which is the Court Access in the Common Law course. Or, it looks like I may not be, yeah, I'm not logged in. Let me get logged in. Hang on a second. Okay, I should be logged in now. Okay. Anyway, under Court Access in the Common Law course, if you joined up on that, we have a lot of information. We do have information on that paperwork also right here in this. But you can get this paperwork for free also. Under Education Starts Here, come down to Law, and then let me make this a little smaller because it's not showing up. So you go in under Education Starts Here, go to Law, come in under Court Forms and Process, and you'll find that paperwork on this page here. But yeah, I'll see about doing a video on that, a PowerPoint video. It shouldn't be too long, maybe half hour. I'm trying to keep all of these videos at a half hour long. I am working on another book. I'm hoping to finish it up in a few weeks, and so that's been kind of a priority for me at the moment. Also, we're trying to keep up with other paperwork that I have to keep up with and studies that we do. But right after I get that book done, I'm going to start working on videos for instructional purposes. Okay, next question. By the way, anybody wants to get into the queue, queue's open, *6 and a 1. If you're on a phone, nobody in the queue right now, so someone can get in there, get up first. Or if you're on an app or browser, should be a button there to get into the queue. All right. Any other questions?
We have two more.
Okay.
I am at the appellate stages of my CPS case. They will try and terminate my parental rights on February 2025. Please help. They have lied to the judge, violated due process, and my lawyer misrepresented throughout the trial. I haven't submitted any affidavits or any kind of motion because I was unaware of my rights. Please help us save my family.
Yeah, well, look, the problem is to get involved in a case is getting involved. I mean, if you were a lawyer doing cases, you can only handle so many cases at a time. We don't have enough staff here to be able to handle a lot of cases to begin with, and it's tough enough just dealing with what we have going. That is one of the reasons why we put the course together. There's that old story out there that let me see if I get it right. If someone is hungry and you give them a fish, well, you're going to have to give them a fish another day and another day and another day. But if you teach them how to fish, they can feed themselves forever, for life. So it's the same thing here with anything else, that kind of thinking. People need to get educated, and if you don't think you need to be educated right now, someday you will need to be educated, and then you'll be looking, saying, well, what am I going to do? And I don't have time to get educated because I'm dealing with a problem, a situation, and I don't know how to handle it. And people should understand how the justice system works. They should understand due process and how the whole court system works, how it's structured, and so on. Because at some point in time you're going to need to deal with it. And if you want to throw your money away to a lawyer and give them a bunch of money, they really charge way over what they're not even worth anyways near what they charge actually. And especially if you have a case going in a lawsuit where you have to give them a third. I mean, that's ridiculous, having to give a lawyer 33%, and again, they're not worth it. But all I can say, I can give advice on this, but you'd have to be able to execute that advice, and the advice would require that you do understand the court system, that you do understand due process and how things work, and how you can move the court into the higher courts for the purpose of denial of due process and deal with these people. And And I'm very much aware of the evil. Probably the most evil courts are the ones with the family courts, the CPS and all that stuff. Those are the most evil. And probate courts. I mean, probate courts, forget about it. They've gone way out of line. I mean, they just take on cases they have no power, no authority to take on. And yet they do, and they get away with it. And why do they get away with it? Because we, the people, are ignorant. Ignorant of the law, ignorant to the process, and ignorant to our own liberties. We really are. People don't understand that we are the sovereign. We make the law. Think about that. We make the law. If this nation, our court system, was running properly, then it would be as simple as it appears to be. Okay, you know that no judges come into a court of law. Only people go into a court of law. The tribunal are the people, and they make the decision on what the law is, what the penalty is, whether they're innocent or guilt. The people make the decision on whether someone should be indicted or not. We, the people, wrote the law for the country, for the nation. We established this Constitution for them. We've given them the limited powers, but we've maintained the control of that power, and people don't even realize. They think the only thing they could do is vote. We still maintain the power in the courtroom. The problem is they've stolen it from us. And as long as the people don't understand that, they'll continue to steal it from us, and they'll continue to control it, and we'll continue to lose our liberties. Now, we have a big change coming, a big change. We have an opportunity. But if we don't seize this opportunity to take control of our courts, to take back control of our whole nation, because we, the people, are the deciders of that. And if we don't do that, then it's only a matter of time. You get right back, and again, ignorance is nothing worse than ignorance. And like Jefferson said, if people expect to be ignorant and free, expect what never was, never will be. Forget about it. You can't have it. It's not yours. If you don't know the law, you don't have liberty. Nor do we deserve it. So anyway, it's up to the people. We'll see where that goes. All right.
How does one enforce courts of record on magistrates who believe they are the court and attempt to run over the actual court of record? How best to proceed to educate those in authority about why they must do what their oath commands? For example, sheriffs, and then there's 4 items under that. They are writs of error, bench warrants, sheriffs, and FBI if federal.
Right, well, I'm not too sure what they want to know about those 4 points. But look, once you get into a court that doesn't have power or authority over you, and you challenge that authority, you challenge the fact that they don't have authority over you. I mean, they may have authority over the subject matter authority, but they usually, of course, don't have personam jurisdiction, authority over your person. And none of these courts are willing to give it up. Any court that exercises a power refuses to give it up. They do not want to give it up, and they won't give it up. And they will not acknowledge the law. And the only way to deal with that is to move it to the next step up. And I would take the baby steps up. In other words, if you're in a town court or a village court, I'd go up first to the state court, the state court in your county, and take it there. And you take them there for challenging jurisdiction, for their denial of jurisdiction. But first you deny it in that court. You have to do it in writing, and you have to do it properly. And so there's paperwork laid out for that and how to do that in a course, and probably on this page too. I think we may have it. But in any event, you challenge the jurisdiction in that court. They will abuse they'll abuse you in your challenge, and they'll try to maintain that power. But that's the first thing you have to do. Let them deny you on paper your right to due process, and the fact that they don't have jurisdiction. And then you move that into the court, the state court, and if that doesn't do it correctly, you move it up, because do it at baby steps. You have more shots sort of at it. So you move it from there, you move it to the appellate court, to the Court of Appeals, and then you move it into the federal courts, and then you can try to move it up into the United States Supreme Court. You can probably move it into one of the district courts with one of the Supreme Court justices, and then from there move it into the United States Supreme Court. So there's numerous steps you can move this, looking for justice along the way. But it is difficult to find justice in our courts because it's sort of it doesn't exist. But again, that's our battle. That's what we've been working on, and we do have a lot of hope for the near future. And it's still going to take more work and time, and we have to get the right things going. Again, the people that are in power that are good people. I'm talking about people who are trying to do something, people who are, on Trump's side. They're ignorant to the things we talk about. They think we're a democracy. What does it take to get to their thick skulls that we're not a democracy? Our founding fathers found democracy is repugnant. I think it's Federalist number 10. That entire section under 10, Federalist Paper number 10, talks about the repugnancy of a democracy. And our founding fathers have nothing to do with it. There is not the word of democracy anywhere in our founding papers. Anywhere. Doesn't exist. Because they knew democracy is just the first step to an oligarchy. That's what it is. It's just ruled by a mob to begin with, but and that mob is always controlled, and so it brings you to an oligarchy. All right.
Can the wording at the end of affidavits be revised or altered to minimize or avoid the criminal consequences in the event the adversarial party or court weaponizes the affidavit with claims of perjury against the one filing it? An example being, instead of the words, under penalty of perjury, I declare that the aforesaid are true, complete, and materially fact. Can the phrase, to the best of my knowledge, suffice on this?
Well, whenever you're writing an affidavit, it's got to be accurate and true. And there are places where you might want to put to the best of your knowledge, but that kind of leaves a door open there. So you want to really sit down and think about, your affidavit, what is true and what is not true, and get the facts out, because really the affidavit is a paper of facts. It's an affidavit of facts. And those facts is really what rules the court, or should rule the court. Unfortunately, a lot of repugnant rules rule the court. They're the rules that they made up in order to control the courts, to control the whole system. Again, I'm not sure of a lot of what that person wrote, and we'd have to go through it a little bit more. But as far as, a note like under, how is it, to the best of your knowledge, again, if you have to write that, but that does weaken your affidavit. You really want to dig down deep and get the facts as best you can. I guess that's it.
The last question, John. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't see anybody in the queue. Let me take a look. Yeah, there's nobody in the queue, so if anybody wants to get into the queue, star 6 and a 1 if you're on a phone, and if you're on an app or a browser, should be a button. Meanwhile, does any of the leadership here has a question or a comment or a subject matter maybe we can talk about or look into? I didn't come prepared with anything.
Under penalty of perjury, is that what you put? Is that what you put in the affidavit? You write that yourself, John? Is that?
Oh no, I've never. I don't think I put that in there. I don't remember. I might have, but I don't remember.
Well, pull up the affidavit that you just had up, if you would.
Yeah, that's
pull
what
that
I'm
up
going to
again.
try to do.
Let's see what it says, because I agree with this person. It's like you're daring them to. Because they can lie.
I don't believe I've written that in here. I'm looking for it. At least, well, this is a simple one. So I don't see anything like that in here. Maybe I don't know if they're in this room, or maybe they can, if they hear this on line or something on Rumble or YouTube, and they can respond back and give us more detail and specifically direct us to a place where this might be written. But I, of course, would disagree with the idea of putting that kind of a statement in the affidavit.
Yeah, I don't see it here. You have the notary statement, which means, or which says, to me, known to be the living woman or man. It just bounced. I didn't see it now. There it is at the bottom. Describing and who executed the foregoing instrument and sworn before me to the, I can't see that, executed the same as their free will. Yeah, act and deed. Okay, yeah, so that's plenty strong. So the notary part
and that's the notary side of things, you know, and a notary is the witness to the fact that it's true. I mean, you're swearing. When you go to a notary, you're swearing on that piece of paper. So
yeah, and it's you know, and so you use phrases on or about, you know, because you might make a mistake because you're human. So you say on or about.
times, yes.
Yeah, so I see what that person's saying, and I agree with them. So maybe leave that out. And yeah, I don't see that you put it anywhere in here.
Well, not on this one either. But you know, there's a lot of different affidavits we have out there as an example. But again, you know, you use on or about is okay. Okay, I don't know if you were looking at that from a different perspective. You know, let's say something happened on the 13th or the 12th of whatever month and whatever day of the week, and you're not really sure, but you know, you're swearing to the fact that it happened, and you say on or about a certain time or a certain date. That is acceptable. Okay, and I don't see how that would weaken your affidavit.
Amen.
But you know, other things could weaken your affidavit. So you got to be careful.
And then the other thing I wanted to add was for the individual who wrote about the family court, and I've said this many times before, for that individual, if they're listening now, or perhaps if they listen later, and for anyone else who's going through this, no matter what court you're in, please do your due diligence. Take your notes as you go through the process. You know, whatever is happening, however many days, however many weeks, however many months, do your due process. Write your notes when they're fresh in your mind, and keep it all for later, because hopefully we will get through it. You know, and John, if there are so many victims, I mean, I know we've tried this. We've tried to come up with ideas of leadership in the past. And it's tough to do. It's like it's like herding cats. We have the numbers. There's a number of people that are injured. It's like, why can't we get enough people to do the work? Like I was saying last week, we need more discipline. There's not enough of it. No one wants to do the work.
Yeah. One of the problems with that, you know, John mentioned to me one time, John Cooksman, he said, you know, I get some good news, and making a point to me. He says, and I get some bad news. The good news is we got volunteers. The bad news is we got volunteers. You know, volunteers are exactly that. They're volunteers, and they're doing other things to live on. They're not coming here as working, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And they're doing other things in life that they have. There's a learning curve. There's an education that's being required, and of course there's work to be done, and all that needs to be controlled. There has to be management, and all these things can only be done professionally. And that's why I ask from time to time. I don't ask too often, but every once in a while I ask. You know, people give some money. You know, throw up $5 a month. $5 a month is a cup of coffee and a donut or a bagel or something once a month. That's it. $5. Come on, it's not a lot. And I mean, there are some people who can't afford $5 a month. That's on really seriously, short incomes. But generally, most people can afford $5. But I'll tell you, you know, if half of our membership gave $5 a month, that'd be a huge amount of money. We'd have a lot of people working, and we can get some real serious business done. But anyway, you know, I've had people tell me, well, they write me notes or something and an email asking for help for this or that. Well, just give it to your secretary. This, that. I don't have a secretary. I'm my secretary. Of course, Jan's like a secretary to me, and other people that help us out here at the national level to some degree. But there's no full-time person here. There's a lot of paperwork that I push off to paralegals and get that done there, and put up the form, put up the structure, frame it out, and then have the work done by a paralegal, then check it out, make sure all is well, and then have a secretary work through the filing of it. I mean, the amount of work I'd be able to get would be tremendous if I had just a paralegal or two and a secretary. And then, of course, we need national leadership, the most important, one of the most, well, everything we do is important. We're really trying to work the courts. That's one of our key things. But we're also trying to educate the people. That's a key thing. We're trying to get the people to take control, to exercise their rights to government by consent, as we read about in the Declaration, that we, the people, wrote. Okay, government by consent. It requires time. It requires a few dollars out of your pocket a month in your own community to work your committee's safety, and to plan a structure, and how to control government, and we teach all that stuff. We've written handbooks for all that stuff. But if people don't want to do it, then it doesn't get done. All we could do is put the tools out there, and beg for money a little bit from time to time, and help people to work through the problem. But they got to study, they got to work. People come and they ask for help in a court and they know nothing about a court. Well, how can we possibly help them, those people? We really can't, because there's a lot involved in any court case, a lot of strategy, a lot of thinking. Every word on that paper that is put against an individual has to be rebutted, and then you have to plan strategy. It's not a simple task. It takes, but again, you could do a few cases here or there, but there's no way that we can handle that kind of thing here at National Liberty Alliance, because we don't have the ability. Now, I know Robert Schultz with We the People was putting together that kind of thing and he was starting off with New York, and where he wanted to, get some funding, and he's got the ability and to go out, and he's got connections in the business world, I guess, and is able to get people who are giving him some money. But he's out there, trying to drum up money and to build a building in New York that would deal with legal problems, particularly where abuse is involved. And he wanted to put lawyers in there, and I've convinced him at this point that these lawyers must understand the common law. We need to move over to common law, and that kind of thing. But that takes millions of dollars. That takes people. His plan is X amount of people in every state that gives $100 a year, I think it is, and he's got a number. I forget what the number is. What he would need in order to maintain that structure and the people that are working it, and he'd want to duplicate that in every state. It's a big job, but it's much easier, really, for people to learn the basic and understanding of the law. By understanding the law, you understanding your liberties. You understand. There's no one that knows your case better than you. Okay, if it's a criminal case and you're guilty, you're going to want to hire a lawyer. But basically, generally speaking, my opinion is that nobody knows the case better than you. And if you're going to hire a lawyer, sort of to assist, you got to make them an assistant. You got to be the major person. You got to be the decider of what paper goes in and what paper doesn't go in. You got to make the decider. I don't like that sentence. I don't like it worded that way. I want it this way. You have to get involved. And anybody who doesn't, and there's no reason. No, look, this is not really rocket science. Law is not difficult, especially common law, because common law is nothing more than common sense, nothing more. You just have to understand due process, which is the procedural part of the court system and the hierarchies of the courts. That's what and that's simple. It's not a big deal. It doesn't take a lot to learn that stuff. Writing is probably the most difficult part. You have to practice writing, and you have to read other people's writings. And that's how you get better at writing. And the more you write, the better you get. But people need to be able to do that, and there's not a reason in the world that any person that comes out of school 12 years shouldn't be able to be as good a lawyer as anybody else. Okay, so our children are held back in our schools. I do truly believe. If you look at the 8th grade test, and you get a copy of that also, maybe I'll pop that up here. I see we got a few people in the queue. We'll get to them in a short. But if you go to Start a Committee of Safety, and come down to the handbooks here, and we have a test in here. It's an 8th grade test back in, I think, 1890 or something like that.
I think it's like 1896 or something. Yeah, and it's amazing. No one from college could pass it today, I am sure.
1895, right here. And this was an 8th grade level. Okay, and I can tell you, I know firsthand, okay, from sending my youngest son to a private school. It was a Christian school, and in 2 years, he only went for 3 years. He went to first and second grade, and he did what do they call it before that, kindergarten. But in kindergarten, they were teaching him numbers and different things. They were already doing all the basics. He was already starting to read by the time he got into first grade, and but he was at an 8th grade level of reading by the time he was in the second grade, moving into the third, and then we homeschooled him. But and that was mostly because they lost their principal, who was really the school. Principal really ran a good school. In any event, the point is, all of these children that were in that school, all of them were advanced. They had to learn to give a speech, get up and sing a song, or give a speech on a stage. I mean, they had to really get involved with everything, and it was just a higher education that they were pushing. And we should be giving our children a higher education. By the time they get out of 12th grade, and I do think children should go to 12 grades, because we can give every one of our children a college education in the 12th grade. And then if they want to kind of strike for some doctrine, then they pick it up from there. And they go to college to get their doctrine. But, again, education, our children should know the Constitution. They should know the common law. They should know the court process. They should understand the political process. They should understand all these things that they don't understand and were not taught anywhere. We do teach all these things here at National Liberty Alliance, so people who are beyond the school years, well, it's time to get re-educated. And if you don't think you need that, well, one day you're going to find out you do, because that's the way it is. One day you'll be stuck in a court for one reason or another, sued or whatever the case may be. And then you're going to pour out tons of money on a lawyer if you can't take care of your own business. So anyway, Eric, did you want to say some more on this?
Before you go to the queue, it looks like Ed has his hand up, but before that, dovetailing in with what you said, there's a fellow that's been sending us, and I think I know, unless I'm mistaken, he's been sending us these things from Mitch Vexler, this guy who's really detailed the property tax scam, extremely detailed.
I think I saw something in the email just recently.
Yeah,
something come over the weekend?
Yeah, I think he sent one today. I think he's been sending them every few days. But you got to see this. I mean, this guy has it down. We could use his stuff. But he says the taxing entities, i.e. school districts, are hiding the bond schedules from the public, which would show that the bonds are not being paid off. Anyway, on and on and on it goes. But anyway, the whole thing is a scam. It's a giant scam, and they make the contract void through simple contract law. That we discuss all the time here. Just the basis of contract law. If you violate them, then the contract is null and void. But he's got them dead to rights. You should really check this out. His Substack, People for Life and Freedom 1, Why Property Tax is Illegal. He's got this Mitch Vexler up and down this thing. And it's really superb. It's outstanding. And I think one of his posts is, from that... Zero Hedge, which we all seem to know around here. And I think he posted in that. I guess they gave it to him they allowed him to post there or something. Anyway, it's fantastic. It's open and shut case. This is the way to end property tax.
Well, I don't know if that it gets any more difficult than common sense from the standpoint that if you pay tax. Look, if you own a piece of property, uh, let's just move it to something else. I own my computer, and they want me to pay every year something on my computer, and if I don't pay it, they come and take my computer away, or my house, or my piece of property without a house on it, or anything. Well, obviously you don't own it then, okay?
Right.
It
Exactly.
doesn't. It's common sense just brings it to that point. And I do believe that is going to disappear this year also. It's got to disappear because all of that money ultimately is just being abused. The whole thing's a con job. They don't have a lawful way to really, foreclose on a home, whether it be a foreclosure for tax or foreclosure for mortgage. There's no lawful way to do it. They cannot do it lawfully, and that's why they do a non-judicial foreclosure, which is an unlawful foreclosure. It means let's bypass the law, make it look like it went to the courts, and we'll take this person's house and so on. And there's towns up here that if you don't pay your tax by a certain point, and now they want to put it up for auction, and then you come up with the money, you say, well, I got the money now. They don't care. They're putting it up for auction, and they're going to sell it for a lot cheaper than what that person would have came up for anyway because they buy it. The whole thing is a con job. There's a game going on. There's payola going all the way down the line. Every one of these S&Ds.
Exactly. We will collapse under the weight of our own. We'll collapse under the weight of our own corruption. I don't know where the echo's coming from. But anywho, one more quick note, and then let's see what Ed has to say. But these 94 districts, replacing these judges, who's going to train them? If they're going to come from the bar, we're just going to have the same problem.
No. They can come from the bar. It's okay, but they just got to give up the bar. Number one, they got to understand when the common law. Number two, lawyers already know due process, the structure of the courts. They know all that already. Now all they have to do, instead of applying statutes and codes and all that stuff, they just apply common sense. They'll pick up on that pretty quickly, but they have to be forced to do it because they're not capable of forcing themselves to do it because they're true believers. They've been trained very well to be minions of the New World Order. It's exactly what and who these people are. These lawyers are minions of the New World Order. Even the good guys are minions of the New World Order and don't even realize it because they're applying things that are unlawful upon the people. They don't understand common law. So all they have to do, so we can get them in, they have to give up the bar and they have to start using their common sense.
Yeah, and we'll have to keep a jealous eye on them at all times. They should have to report to someone such as NLA or GR. I mean, I don't know how that would work.
No, it's a reasonable. Well, again, this is where the people have to get involved. It's called committees of safety. Okay,
absolutely,
that's why you have a judicial committee there. That's why we're the people. We have to be the administrators for the juries. That's why we got all that.
Yeah,
and we
whatever
take little
county,
control.
Whatever county those 94 people are in, they must report to their committee of safety. It's going to take a lot of work, and people are going to have to start caring. Like I said,
it's a matter of really look at when something goes wrong, and the committees of safety become popular enough that the people become aware of them. At least a good majority of people, or even a small majority, it doesn't really matter. At some point, when someone has a problem, they start seeking it out, and they find, oh, we've got a committee of safety. Oh, what's that? Oh, they can help me. Oh, they got a judiciary committee. Oh, so they go to them. So all the problems will be coming to them to be dealt with. And then those people who are in the courts, we're looking for 5 administrators, 4 basic administrators, 1 paralegal who should also be an administrator in every court in every county, in the state court in every county, and they will have the ability to make to require these different things to be applied. For instance, judges need to make sure, first of all, you can't be a bar attorney and become a judge. The Constitution won't allow it to begin with. The 13th Amendment particularly. So it's up to them. They're the watchers. and the people report things to the Committee of Safety, who then deals with the Judiciary Committee, who is also on that Judiciary Committee, are the administrators. They're the ones that got the power and the clout and the ability to go and correct that judge and read the law out to them. Look, you start obeying the law, you start doing the right thing, and stop this nonsense, or we're going to have you removed. Now, it is true, on a federal level, it is up to Congress to make the removal. They have to go through an impeachment, and then the Senate is the actual trial, and they actually judge and decide whether the individual is going to be cast out or not, or whatever the penalty might be. But the thing is on the state level, we the people simply can do it. Because we can do it and require them to be obedient to the law and remove them from their office. So we could do a writ quo wanto on them. By what authority are you doing this by? You can't answer it. You're out of here, buddy. You lose your office. It's done. I would suppose that the power of your state Congress, with the Senate and the Assembly, that they have the power to remove judges, I presume, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I never looked into that, so I don't know how judges are brought into power in different levels in different states, whether they're elected or appointed. Here in New York, a lot of these judges are elected, so the power of the people is involved to some degree.
Okay, copy that. I understand. And I did find the one paper you asked me to send you. I should do it maybe during the week when I can call you and let you know, because I know you get inundated. But it's a short history of the right to petition government for the redress of grievances by a fellow named Stephen Higginson. It's the Yale Law Journal from 1986. This is how our court and municipal boards should be responding.
How many pages is it?
It's not that long. Let's see. Where does it say? Well, I don't see it on this. Looks, I guess it's 30 pages. Right? Yeah, about 30 pages.
It's not too bad. Yeah, if you can, just send it to me. I'll keep an eye out for it. If you send it in the next 24 hours, I'll just keep an eye out for it. And I'll look through it, and maybe you and I will talk about it. Maybe we can meet with this person. Maybe we can find a connection with them, work together. I don't know. What we really need is education more, and he may have enough information to lay out an education for these individuals that are the problems, the problematic people. And so we would maybe go through a process of educating them, do or die kind of thing. You either be obedient and make the changes accordingly, and this is why, or, again, I don't know what's on there, so I really can't comment much.
Yeah, I understand.
Simplicity of things, and we must always look for the simplicity. There's a ruler in a Constitution. It's called the Bill of Rights, and there's an extension to that ruler. We can go yards and miles with that, ultimately, because it's common sense applied to that. All of our rights is not in the Bill of Rights. It's just it's the main ones, and it sets the stage for every other one. The right to travel, obviously, it's just logical. You have a right to travel. You can't stop me. And the courts used to agree with that, and they don't agree with it no more, but they used to agree with that. And but there is a simplicity to these things, because the ruler to judge anything is that Bill of Rights. If there's a violation against me, it's null and void. It's that simple. It doesn't get any more complex than that. That's the ruler to judge things.
Agreed, 100%. And just a quick note: ratification debates. Mr. Pendleton in Virginia. No, but say, gentlemen, we have put the introduction of that method in the hands of our servants, who will interrupt it from motives of self-interest. What then? This is the government. We will resist, did my friend say, conveying an idea of force. Who shall dare to resist the people? No, we will assemble in convention, wholly recall our delegated powers, or reform them so as to prevent such abuse, and punish those servants who have perverted powers designed for our happiness to their own emolument. Just one little snippet, and these ratification debates, just covered in these fantastic Freeman notions. this is government by consent. And yes, we might have to discipline these people. In fact, we should, so that it will be obvious to all who want to come to power after this that you need to play by the rules. And don't forget Ed, and I yield. Thank you.
Yeah, well, one of the most important things to government by consent, obviously, is the people. If the people are not willing to have consent to their government, which means they got to get involved, okay? It means you got to get a committee of safety going. There's no man is an island. You can't do this yourself. You got to get like-minded people in the county. We have government not by the majority, but majority of participates. So you have to get a group of people that come together and agree, well, let's look at the problems, let's look at the controls, let's look at what we need to do, how do we consent, what do we have to consent to, how do we control our congressmen, how do we control, the different people that we elect at different offices, and so on and so forth. And again, so you got to spend time. You got to spend maybe a couple hours a month educating yourself. It's a requirement. You got to spend a couple hours a month at a meeting. In order to come together, look at the problems, look at the situations, figure things out, and come to conclusions. And that takes time. You got a couple hours a month. You have to, maybe an hour or two a month applying into whatever is required for you to research or to get information on, to bring back to the committee, to build upon that, to do whatever it is you got to do. Maybe it's going out and connecting with all the schools and bringing those individuals that make all the decision on these school boards, bring them back under control. And I forget the number, but I think in my county we have, well, I don't even remember how many school districts we have. I don't remember, so I'm not going to comment. But
and those are the ones that are involved in this tax fraud. So yeah, they need to be disciplined severely. And look at what again.
You can't do nothing if people don't do it.
I know the people have to do it, and if they don't, like you said, the people have spoken, and we will be destroyed. They must be brought into submission and with great discipline. Again, don't forget Ed. I yield, and I appreciate it.
Okay, all right, Ed, you wanted to bring something up?
Yes, I do. I thank you. I know that President Trump is planning on having an election. I think it's 120 days after he gets in. Who is he going to be electing to, the corporation or the republic? And also, I'd like to have you comment on the group Republic for the United States of America.org.
Okay, I didn't get the question though. You repeat that because I didn't really understand that.
What is your opinion of the Republic for the United States of America.org, that group?
Okay, I'm not sure. I probably have looked that up, but I don't remember. Let me look real quick and maybe.
This is the group that we had a meeting with, and
oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't see eye to eye on some fundamental principles. However, we do see eye to eye in other ways, and because they do have a certain amount of people, it sure would be great if we could work together, because obviously we're lacking just getting enough people involved. So that'd be great. But Ed, there's some fundamental principle things that we don't agree with. That's it, John. That's it right there. We had the meeting with Sandy Marecki.
Okay, yeah. Let me go back over here just real quick on something else, and then we'll go back and look at that in a minute. Just give me a second here. But go ahead, talk as I'm doing this.
Then the other thing was the 120-day thing. Now, I don't know if I don't really have a whole lot of faith in that myself. But he didn't ask me; he's asking you. But that's the 120-day period where we're going to have elections for all offices or something that might occur. And then, what's your opinion on that? I believe Ed is asking.
Yes.
Well, look at on whether I know some people with us, some of the leadership wanted to have a second look at this and maybe have a conversation with this woman again. What's her name again? Sandy. have a conversation with her. So we're still kind of open to that. But unless they make changes, from my perspective, we're not really very compatible. And I know Q, what's his name, for Q News Patriot, he'd done a thing on her. He'd done quite a few of them, and he's got one of her, audios that was a conversation he had with her posted up. Now I was surprised. I mean, we have a lot more going on here, but maybe it's too complex. I don't know. Maybe he thinks it's too complex. But I'll tell you what. If people expect to be ignorant and free, forget about it. You cannot have liberty. You can't have it, and you don't deserve it anyway. Because if you don't want to put the time in it to maintain it, keep it, protect it, and do what you have to do to keep it, then we don't deserve it. But try to repeat that question one more time. Get specific to the question. I know who you're talking about, but what's the question?
Well, you've given the answer. I was wanting your opinion on the Republic for the United States of America.org, and you have stated that there are some differences in your philosophy or
the question also covered if it's going to be for the Constitution or if it's going to be...
Yes, the other part of that question was, do you think the people that are elected in President Trump's election will be for the corporation or for the Republic?
Well, I do believe they're for the Republic. I don't think they're educated enough in the common law to really be as sufficient as possible. We've been communicating with about 30 of them. All we need to do is to get through one of them, and if we clicks with one of them, they'll understand how serious it is to realize to give the power and the authority to the people and to educate the people and to do it from the perspective of the common law. So I do think, but I do not believe in any way that they are really going to stick up for the corporations. Look, once you get rid of the IRS, you've just gotten rid of you got rid of a lot of stuff there. The federal agencies involved with that, the ATF, all of that goes. Everything, all goes. The property taxes and so on. So, but no, I do not perceive in any way that they are really more for the corporation than they are for the country. Let's look at Musk. Musk got many. He's got a big corporation. He's got a lot of things going. He's doing things at prices that nobody else can do, because he's not ripping off the people. He doesn't have waste, and he's a good manager, and he knows that his company, if he works to build a proper republic, that's going to make his business stronger because he's going to have more opportunity. There's going to be more opportunity out there that he can seize on or anybody else can seize on. So, anyway, but going back to the other thing. I was kind of this flag thing. I definitely disagreed with. They want to. Why are we going to surrender our flag? Our flag has been with us since the beginning. It was only the very beginning where they had a circle, stars, but ever since then, the 1776 Betsy Ross flag. But the next flag that came into play was 1818, which had 20 stars and 13 stripes, and that went into the traditional line of stars. Now, it may sound like a silly thing to make an argument, but I just don't know why we'd want to surrender our flag. I'm not for that. I think we need to maintain the flag the way it is. But there are a lot of other things. I know I made some notes. One of the big things, and I don't know if they don't understand how serious this is, how almost impossible this is. Okay. One of their majority goals is for each state to come up with 30,000 people signed up to support their restored republic. Then lawful elections will be held to fill the vacancies left behind by the corporation. What are we going to do? Just get rid of Trump and all the people he put together to take this nation back? I mean, it's doing something different. Okay, we do have to elect proper people. And we do need, we need probably, I'll tell you what, to be sufficient and strong, you need about 100 people in every county, So nationwide, if you have 100 people in every county, and you have 3,143 counties, I think it is, okay, you're looking at 315,000 people across America. That's going to be difficult to do. How much more to get 30,000 people in every state? 30,000. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 30,000 times 50. Yep.
I've thought through some of this, and the idea is that the hope is that the military and Trump will will flush them out and turn the country over to the interim government. And
no. You look at the people that are going to be left in office by the time they put these people either in jail or at the end of a short rope, because I think a lot of people are going to be removed from government. I really do think that has to happen, as a matter of fact, because they're criminals. I mean, insider trading alone, and that's the simplest thing, or the least most evil or destructive thing is insider trading. I mean, a lot of other things that are going on that they're involved in, but there's so many of them that are involved in insider trading, and you go into government, they come out millionaires. I mean, what's going on here? Because they got information and they're trained and showed by people where to put the money and their investments and whatever it is that they're doing.
Well, that's a good reason to implement their plan. The idea is that once the Brunson case hits, Congress
that will get rid of a lot.
You have to then organize elections that are done without machines, ballots one day. You got to organize that.
You think that that's not an easy task? First of all,
no, it's not, and that's why you have to have local authority to do it as an interim government.
We have boards of elections. As corrupt as they are, we just got to get rid of the corrupt individuals. We have to have watchdogs. That's the only way you're going to do it. And that's what they're trying to do with 30,000 people in every state, to be a watchdog. Well, we have a plan with 100 people in every county to be a watchdog, to exercise their right of government by consent, to watch the political process, the judicial process, our educational system, the economics, everything else that goes on, and get rid of these people that are breaking the law, because we the people can do it ourselves. We can indict. Okay, if we have to, if that's what is required to do. We can force resignations. There's all kinds of things we can do. Writ quo wantos, especially with not having an oath. Any person in office right now that doesn't have an oath, as far as I'm concerned, is a criminal, because they don't have an oath because they think they're safer. They're not safer. They're guilty of subversion.
I agree, John, but you have to have somebody
I'm trying to get to the point
that stands up as a bunch of people. A bunch of people have to go to the sheriff. They have to get the indictment, and they have to go. Well,
okay. I don't know if you understand how things work through the Board of Elections. The Board of Elections hires individuals locally in order to do certain things, and they train them on what needs to be done. We just got to get rid of the machines and the corruption. I got to believe that Trump is working on that. Machines have got to go. I think we all agree on that. That is counting votes in secret. That's what a machine is. Okay? And I'll lay out a paper for this. Robert Schultz has already laid out. I think I have a copy laying around somewhere. And if not, I pretty much remember it was a simple process on how voting actually should happen and how it was done long before machines been done. It was used.
Oh, absolutely. I think we could put that together rather quickly if we were put in that position.
Why do we need this 30,000 people to do what? My point is this: is that if you have the boards of elections, once all these seats are vacated, okay, and while they're being vacated, we have a government that still continues. So you're being governed by people who are doing the good, and they're the ones that's going to be the receivers of the new people. So that's key, number one. So that will help to prevent more people coming in with fraud. But the people who violated, they're out of there, and then you have to run special elections. It's going to be like just running an election day for everything, over the course of a period of time to refill these seats. And the people have to get out there and vote. They have to, these people have to be brought onto the ticket. So they have to go out and get the necessary signatures to put these people onto the ticket. And then the people have to vote and make the decisions on who goes in. And then it's up to the people to watch them. If the people don't watch them, who's going to watch them?
I agree, John. I agree with everything you're saying.
Okay, so why do we have... but they're looking to create a group of people, create a government to take control, have everything shifted over to that new group, which doesn't make any sense to me. Get rid of the...
That's just an interim government. Right now, there's enough corruption spread throughout an entire country that we can't effect all of that at once. At least an interim government, if it was in place, there would be somebody to toss it to. That's what the military cannot take over the government. That doesn't work here.
Of course not. No, but the military can remove the subverters. Look at one of the claims they make is that they need to re-inhabit our republic lawfully and peacefully by forming an interim government, which is what you're talking about, all the way down to the local level in accordance with 1 Stat 50 and the Northwest Ordinance, whereas the Northwest Ordinance does not provide for what they claim. And the Northwest Ordinance charted a government for the Northwest Territory, provided a method for admitting new states to the Union from the territory, and listed a Bill of Rights to guarantee in that territory. Section 1, be it ordained by the United States Congress assembled at the said territory for the purpose of temporary government, be one district subject, however, to be divided into 2 districts as future circumstances may, in the opinion of Congress, make it expedient. So it goes back to Congress to begin with, but it doesn't provide. The Northwest Ordinance does not provide for what they're looking to do. There's no precedent or anything that will assist in what they're doing. They say that it exists, but it doesn't. And if it does exist, I challenge anyone to find it and just correct me, because I'll go for the correction. I did my research on this, and it's not there.
But John, we are presently under a corporation, and we've got to get out from under the corporation.
Yes, we just have to.
Doesn't happen without somebody doing something.
Right,
Well,
that's what Trump is doing.
It doesn't happen without a lot of people. And before you can get people to go and do it, you've got to have leaders that can change some minds. You have to have an attitude adjustment.
We get people to give $5 a month to support a movement to get education to the people, get committees of safety, and organize this nation. We can't even get people to do that. Okay, you know, when we look how slow they're being built. Okay, very, very slowly, and that's okay. You know, it'll get done eventually, I hope.
Hey,
but the other thing is there are some people who are rogues, and I already am aware of some places that are rogues. I've talked to people who tell me what's going on in a few places, and they're rogues. People who are taking what we put together in a different direction, and they're not educating themselves properly, and it becomes really. A problem in law in itself. It's a wrongful. You know?
Yes. By the way, quick note for all of you here, John, Ed, and Terry. I went. I contacted these people and have joined up more or less here in Georgia. Now I have objections, and my objections and John's are basically the same. And remember, when we had this meeting with Sandy Marecki, she wanted to know more about how we constituted counties. Well, let me tell you something. They're at that point. That's what they were discussing this meeting I went to 4 weeks ago. 1st of December, I think it was. That's where they're at. They're at constituting the counties. And, of course, you know, for me, someone who's been here at NLA for 11 years or more, we've already done that. We've already been there. And again, this is what Sandy Marecki wanted to know more about. But they're just beginning. They're just beginning. It's going to be quite some time before they get to 30,000. They've got some good press going. But, I mean, if Georgia's an example, they're doing what we did 11 years ago.
And that 30,000 plan is for one state. We're looking at 100 people per county, you know. So
yeah, but what I would like out of it is for us to get people that are involved and the people that of the same mind. That's what I hope to get out of it. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but they've got the right idea. Their heart's in the right place. Their minds are in the right place, except for some of these things. You know, their first quote unquote president was persecuted and put in federal prison for 10 years,
right.
And so I think that to them, that gives legitimacy to their effort. Because why would he have been put in prison for 10 years? This is just supposition on my point.
Yeah, but still, by building a government alongside a government is in itself subversion. Okay.
Agreed, 100% agreed.
So what they're doing is a very dangerous thing, and that's probably what they used in order to go after this guy. As
a side note, that's why they changed the flag. That flag is only there so that they aren't pushing people behind the U.S. flag and getting chopped down and saying you're trying to create a government and you represent it with the same flag that means you're attacking our government. That's why they changed the flag. So,
well, it's very obvious, but a little bit of information, and they don't put a lot out there. I don't know if you get more once you join up, but but in any event, you come to National Liberty Alliance, you get everything. Even if you're not a member, you get everything. I mean, there may be pages that you may not get, but you'll get everything. And some sites, they require you to become a member before you really even know what they're doing. But Eric, do you get a lot more information once you join up, or is this pretty much the website that we're seeing?
Yeah, it's pretty much the website that you see. But once you do join up, you do have access to the other information. But what they're going to direct you to are the two books.
It's a very, very long book.
Yeah, the long book.
That bores you to tears because I started reading it.
Yeah, and I had the missus read it, and she didn't finish it, but she got 150 pages in, and she took a lot of notes. You got farther than that? Okay. She took a lot of notes, and anyway, her conclusion is the same thing that we're talking about.
I'll tell you one of their problems that they haven't realized yet, and only time lets you know unless you just ignore things and continue to move with error, and that is they have to go through the school of hard knocks. And when we've been around for, like you had mentioned, a long time, we go back quite a few years, and this whole thing started really with the Committeemen, and that in itself became a heavy education, and that was in 2009. In 2010, we went into different things, and eventually by 2011, we were moving very hardcore on the grand jury and the jury administrator. But we had a lot to learn. We made a lot of mistakes, but we corrected our mistakes as we went along. I don't know how many people are aware of the way we started doing things, and then we had to change it because things didn't work the way we thought it worked. And it takes a lot of research to get this information, to get it right. And we still, nobody is perfect, so we still have mistakes. We just haven't found them yet. But we'll search them out as time goes on. They'll show up, and we'll have to fix it. So they have a lot of that to do,
I think we've got a lot of working with other groups to do. The more people we get amassed in every county or local area, the more change we can bring about. And we want to work with other groups. Tactical Civics is now trying to do what you and I and NLA has been trying to do with committees of safety and common law grand juries for the last 10, 12 years. And they just started.
Mm-hmm.
And it started with a trust, and their trust doesn't allow them to work with anybody. Well, that's stupid. And I see cracks in their system.
Absolutely.
And I think other people are seeing cracks in their system. But why aren't we talking on their shows to get people involved and give them another alternative and start working towards working with other groups so that we're united across the entire United States?
Well, it is a difficult task. And one of the problems is when you get someone who puts a lot of work into something, and they think they got everything right. We think we have everything right, and to a large degree, I know we do because we've got research, and we started out with research, and the things we had to guess upon. Well, when we eventually got to the research part, we made the corrections, we made the changes, a whole different focus on the committeeman, a whole different focus on how we were approaching the grand juries. I mean, everything from the beginning was wrong, but we didn't know it because we were ignorant and trying to figure it out and move along and structure and get something done. So, but again, we've been doing it for 12 years or 30, whatever it's been. It's been a long time, and so we've been doing it, and that's where the hard knocks comes in. But you know, the problem is this: correction is grievous to a lot of people. And I speak to myself first because I understand that correction is grievous sometimes, but you have to push yourself to make the changes. And if you don't do that, then you're only building on a false foundation. And so I can get together with tactical civics, and I can start to lay out the errors of their way, but then I'll be looked at as being arrogant, and I'm the one that knows it, and I know it all, or whatever the case may be. And depending on how much time they have invested in it, they're not going to make changes. I spoke to an individual who wrote a book on a false or fake premises, and they didn't know it. And when they made the correction, they didn't want to hear it. They invested so much time into that they didn't want to hear it. And I understand the pain of that. I do understand the pain of that, because I have gone through that, and I decided to rip down back to the foundation and start all over again, because that's what you got to do. And so it's very difficult to try to work with other groups that have a plan that sometimes is a conflict. I mean, if we're trying to work with a group of people that is doing basically the type of work we're doing, we're going to find it very difficult unless they've done the research and we click. And that's going to be very rare, and I haven't found that yet. Now,
you need a lot of negotiation skills, and
you can't negotiate, or you can't negotiate truth against.
That's not what I'm talking about. You can't negotiate common law. Common law is common law. What I'm saying is negotiation. You have to present it in such a way.
Right.
Like maybe call it marketing.
Well, here's the point that I'm trying to make. People who are doing what we're doing, I can show the errors. They're not willing to make the change, okay, because they're too invested in what they've got going. But you take groups like let's take, Robert Schultz with We the People. He's doing something that has a little bit of a conflict with us, but not so much so, because look at, I did convince him on the lawyer side of things, which I talked a little bit about earlier. On the lawyer side of things, you've got to have the lawyers that are going to come in and respect and hold up the common law, because, the civil law is unlawful. You can't have that. And so he agrees to that. And therefore, that made us compatible. Now, it's not necessary to do what he's doing if the people are doing their jobs in the counties, but it will help, so we'll work with him. We have GR, which takes a knowledge of things that's beyond my research and is doing a great job, and we can work with him. So there's lots of people we can work with. But anybody like Tactical Civics and this particular group, there's too much conflict there. I mean, I'll get together and bring them correction if they want. Maybe they can correct me in some areas, that I'm not strong enough or understanding enough. That's fine. But the thing is, they got a lot of problems. They got a major foundational problem, because they put a lot of their premise on the Northwest Ordinance as their authority. We put our premise and our authority right on the Bible and how our founding fathers did it. But let's look at this right here. If you go to their page here about the Republic and you come down, let's see, is this it? Let me see if I could find it. I had it before. Oh, this is it here. Northwest Ordinance. Okay, about the Republic, where is the Northwest Ordinance? Anyway, when I clicked on the information for the Northwest Ordinance, this page came up. Page not found. So we're not getting anything. But I know the paper that Eric was talking about, that his wife was reading, I believe they get into that, and their premise is wrong. They're built upon a faulty foundation. That's hard for people to correct the foundation. The foundation of your work is what holds everything up. And when you have a foundational crack or a foundational problem, a lot of things got to come apart to fix it. You got to, and that's a lot of work. It's hard to do. It's painful, But
yeah, I agree. It is painful, but we need to be making the effort. You know, I sell NLA when I go to these Republic for the United States of America and common law meetings. I sell NLA by saying it's the greatest resource you'll find out there, with everything collected together in one place. All of these Supreme Court cases, court cases, and common law and explanations. And then I say, we need to work together. We're changing minds.
Why don't we do this? Because we got a lot of people in the queue now all of a sudden, and it's getting late. But so we need to go there. But why don't we do this? Why don't you, if you want, make contact with one of these individuals or both of them? You know, you got Tactical Civics, and you got also the Republic for the United States, and maybe we can have a meeting where we come in and each one of us give a presentment of what it is that we're about, the structure, our foundation, what our plan is, maybe 20 minutes apiece, and then maybe we can start talking about our differences and maybe find correction and see where it goes. I mean, that's a way to do it. Other groups that are doing other things, it's a lot more easy to work with them than the people who are doing things that are similar to what we're doing. Because we're not building 30,000 people in the state. We're going right down to the local government where it belongs. All politics is local. All political process is local. All control of your government is local. It's right there in your county, and it starts with that county or committee.
Well, I'm working locally with the local guys, and I'm trying to do just that. But it takes a lot of time. I don't know that we have that time.
Right.
And,
well, anyway, if anybody on the leadership, or anybody anyway, wants to put this together and come together, see if we can have a conversation, and we could do this in the public. I think it should be recorded and put up on the internet, and we can invite people to come and listen in and maybe do a Q&A or something. But anyway, something like that would have to be probably on a Saturday. It would take 4 hours or something like that. You know, it would be pretty long in order to really kind of get down to find out where the big differences are and what our plans are. So let's think about that. We'll talk some more on that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's take some questions here. Let's see, first person, Mary Ann from Indiana. How you doing? You got the mic.
Hi, John. This is Mary Ann from Indiana, and I'm calling. I'm following up on. Remember, I was contacting Hillsdale about their K-12 classical education with the civics, and they sent me. It is a free. It's all free. It's a free download of the curriculum. So I'm taking a look at it. I'm not seeing quite the in-depth that, of course, NLA would have with the focus on civics that we have. So now it's a matter of seeing what they have and seeing if there's anything that can be compatible or From
what I say, they give a good education. The problem is they lack the common law side of that education, and they have some foundational problems because they don't see the problem with lawyers that we would see, and what the 13th Amendment does to make that point clear with the problem with the lawyers. It is more on the simpler things. I find it a little boring, but other people might not, you know. I like the excitement of common law. Common law is exciting. It's empowering. It's just great. Looking to see how our founding fathers handle all this thing is the key, because we have to just, do what they did, follow their lead, because why reinvent the wheel? And that's what NLA is doing. We're following our founding fathers. They take the lead. We're just following the plan that they got. This committeeman or committee of safety is not my idea. I didn't create it. It's already been out there. Our founding fathers used it to create this nation. The Pilgrims used it when they came over on the Mayflower. It's how America was built. The colonies worked on that. And that's what we have to do. We have to do the same thing they did. And then we have to, really focus in on the common law, which is very, very simple. Due process has been around forever. It goes way, way back. I know Brent Brent put up that book, The Excellence of the Common Law, and he gets into the history of it, going back into, I don't know, 400 or 500 AD, somewhere around there, I guess. So we have the history of due process and what it is, and due process in itself is logical. It's just all logic. It makes all sense in the world. The courts are running under due process in that sense, but they're applying statutes and codes and regulations and different things from a different perspective, and using civil law in our courts, and that just destroys it all, So, but anyway, I think, I would not tell anybody not to go get an education there. I would encourage it to some degree. But I would first encourage you also to get an education from us too, because we come from a different perspective. I don't know. Maybe I'll send him a couple of my books, and maybe that would open his eyes. I don't know. Because he's a very intelligent guy. The guy who the president.
Yes. Yeah. And So that would be. That sounds, if you're able to do that, that's great.
Yeah, I can. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll send him the book Government by Consent and see what he says about that. So.
Yeah, and your background too, because I think coming from your self-taught and like epiphanies, oh wow, yeah, and not having
self-education, in my opinion, is the best education. And self-education. The problem with self-education, though, is you get blank spots. Different things and different books I probably should have read, but again, I'm so tied up in researching that I don't have much time to sit down and read a book. I'm too busy. But I am learning every day. I'm researching every day. I'm writing every day. Again, I got another book that'll be coming out shortly, and I don't want to talk about it until I finish it. And a lot involved in that book. A lot.
Well, that's great. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to give a little update on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take our next caller. Let's see. It is 352 area code. What's your first name and your state?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. First name and state.
First name is Marisol. My state is Pennsylvania.
Okay. Well, what's your first name, though?
Marisol.
Marisol?
Yeah.
Am I saying? Okay, Marisol. Okay, Marisol from Pennsylvania. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a complicated situation. I actually know common law for some time, but I'm a little rusty. But I have several cases that I feel would tumble down their whole sham, and it's a little bit of a story, and I don't think this is the venue to explain it, especially since it's almost over. But I was wondering if we could...
If you want to get a little deep into it, maybe next week, if you get in there early, maybe we can spend a good deal of time on the subject. But give us a basic idea of what you're trying to talk about.
Okay, so well, it is very biblical, and I don't want to get into too much of the biblical side of it yet. But the story is almost unbelievable unless you understand the Bible, from my point of view. But basically, 250 Illuminati witches just tried to destroy me and my husband. And I had claimed sovereignty with my job around 6 years ago and submitted paperwork, etc., which they, let's say, denied. They never really answered properly. And I never pursued it because I've been with them for now 20 years. And I knew the next step was to criminally indict some of my coworkers, like in payroll and HR, etc. And I kind of backed out because I felt bad that the lawyers from our company had put them in that position. So how do I put this in a nutshell? Last year, my husband, if you believe in possession, is possessed, right? So he has several demons that I have been trying to deliver him from for a while. And last year, he pushed me into a situation where he got me to purchase guns, even though he has a criminal history from when he was 17.
Well, just bear in mind, we can't get too deep on it tonight. I mean,
right. Well, so basically, let me just try to put it this way. I have a case against my company as far as biblical rights versus satanic teachings that they do with them, and it's a major company. Okay, and I was one of the top there. I have cases against my family, 250 witches, literally, and I'm not playing. Like, this is, I can prove it if I had the time, right? Rose up against me because of my position in the kingdom of God, and that's a whole nother story. And if I sue them all, it would tumble down the whole sham. And I have them right now in a checkmate because of what I know. And when I say them, I mean my company, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Florida at the moment, Luzerne County within Pennsylvania. And I have them in a checkmate at this moment because they were all going to try to take me down for several things, for purchasing guns, what my husband, has history.
Right, well, it sounds too complex to really get involved, especially tonight. I mean, if you could think about it.
It's very complex. But my cases would tumble down their whole sham, is what I'm trying to allude to here.
That would be a big case. 250 people, that'd be a huge.
It's huge. Case. I know, and I cannot manage it myself. And so, what I have some ideas, and I'm going by biblical guidance, because that's a whole nother conversation, meaning I'm actually using the Bible because I am in the Bible, to determine my next steps, and I have some ideas on how to start to handle my situation. But I'm looking to consult with experts. I'm a little rusty, so I don't know if you guys, what would we need to do to take some time, John, and maybe a few of you, to discuss it a little bit more in depth?
Well, try to think of how you can articulate it in a nutshell, and or maybe next week or the week after or whenever you want. But
okay.
Put things into a nutshell and look at really the crux of what you're thinking or trying to do, and then maybe we could discuss it from there. The details like going into the details of a court case, of 250 people and many things that you've mentioned, it gets too much. It's too big, I
know it's too big. But if we start in one area, maybe my employer, right? My ex-employer now, because of the situation.
Right, well,
but
let me see. We only got a short time left. Let me think, about 15 minutes left. So, and we have a few other people in the queue. So,
sure. Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's put it aside till next week or the week after. But try to sit down and think about how you can articulate this in a way that we can discuss the foundation of your concerns. I don't know. So.
Okay. I'll try. Thank you.
At another time, and I appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ross. It looks like you got the mic. Go right ahead, Ross.
Can we can I advertise I need help for organize the community safety in the Clackamas County to get people interested in organizing the community safety?
Yeah, I understand. You got to find a couple of people that are as serious as you about it, and then work together, because this is putting the Committee of Safety takes, 4, 5, or 6 people like-minded, strong, and focused to do it. And let me give you an example of a problem that I've come up with to some degree anyway, and that is, I've started to organize a Committee of Safety here in my county, and I proposed over the course of a few weeks to maybe 30 people or so, maybe more, and now I'm trying to get them to take positions. We need a chairman, we need a co-chairman, we need a secretary, we need a treasurer. As far as the secretary is concerned, we do want to have someone that has some background in secretarial work, at least the basics. And but the other positions really doesn't need anything special other than a logical minds. But it's like pulling teeth trying to get people to step up and take on these positions. I can't run the whole thing constantly and be all things to that. So there is a problem with trying to get people involved with this and to do what's necessary to have government by consent. Our government is worthless if we can't have it by the consent of the people. And it's been without the consent of the people for a long time, and everybody is complaining about it. They're not listening to the people. Well, they haven't been doing their job. Now, it may not have been their fault that they haven't been doing their job to do the right thing, to take and have government by consent, because they don't know how. But, when you show the people how and they don't do it, then it gets depressing. But, we move on and just press on, Ross, and keep looking for someone that can partnership with you on this. And you need 3 or 4 minds working together to really organize this and get it going, and that's willing to take the position. Now, I'm going to be meeting with a group of people that belong to the same group to some degree, but they've been studying the law for a long time, and the common law. I'm hoping to. Well, I know, I've already met with them before, and I'm going to hopefully meet with them again soon, and I think they may be take the position that we're looking to fill. And the other people that are coming, well, again, they become, they can help us by doing certain research or getting certain information, because everybody has to do something, collecting the names and the addresses and the phone numbers and whatever information you can in all the school districts, for instance, in your county. Someone's got to do that. And it's pretty simple, because you can really search it out on the internet, get the answer to the whole thing really quite quickly, and cut and paste it, put it into your word processor, lay it out in such a way that you have it, and then you bring it back to the committee, and you bring all this information, and then you start breaking that up. Well, okay, you call this one, you call that one, you do this, and you just work the whole process out. When's the next time the board's meeting, and what time and what place, and you start making a schedule, and you start going to these boards, and you bring them under order. Again, everything is like that. The political process, the judicial process, the educational, everything, okay? But if people don't want to do it, then they're not going to have liberty that they want. They're going to lose it again, and I think we're about to save it, but, it's going to be lost again if people don't step up. Because look at the foundation of who we are as a people. Is we, in the Declaration of Independence, we have government by the consent of the people. Okay? Now, if that group is missing, we just have government. And that's not what we want. Anyway, Ross, I hope that was helpful. It's going to take time. I understand your frustrations. Again, keep looking and listening in. Go out to our page from time to time and see if there's any new people out there, on our directory. Maybe every once in a while ask Jan for an update of people in your state, particularly in your county, and maybe you'll find some new people you can connect with. But it takes time.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Ross. Okay, let's take Gregory. Is that from Maryland? Greg?
Gregory from Maryland.
Okay.
That facilitated the meeting between you and Sandy Marecki with the Republic.
All
I'd be
right, so
happy.
you heard some of the conversation we had a little earlier about that, correct?
I've been listening, yes.
Okay.
So
So
I'd
if
be
you want
happy.
to work with Terry and make a connection, we can have a conversation.
Exactly. I'd be happy to facilitate another meeting with
Right.
Sandy. I
But
believe
the
there's a
meeting,
lot.
the meeting should be in such a fashion that she would explain in as best detail as she can within maybe 15 or 20 minutes, whatever we figure that out to be, because we all have to understand what each one is doing and see the differences and maybe see the things that make us uncompatible or the things that we can change to make us compatible.
Understood. Better yet, there's a very recent interview with Sandy and SGN that she does a very good job of laying that out. So one question before we end. What's the difference between constitutional law and common law?
Well, constitutional law is law written by the people. You know,
Right.
the Constitution is the law, and breaking that down gets you into basically constitutional law. Now, remember, the Constitution empowers different groups with different powers. And for instance, we've empowered Congress with 18 powers. Okay, so those 18 powers now have to be expounded on in legislation. They have to write legislation, and they've done a good job at that, a very good job at that, believe it or not. We have, I think it's 57 codes. Okay, each one of those codes have its own, law that Congress has put together in most of it is within harmony with the Constitution as far as the Bill of Rights is concerned. Most of it does not, because it's really governing the different agencies and organizations and so on. For instance, Title II controls Congress, so that Congress operates under statutes and regulations, laws, that they have to abide by.
Well,
the
under a republic, would not a good bit of that have to be revised?
No, it's beautiful. What do you mean? I don't understand.
Is it? Okay. No, I'll take your word for it.
Here's the problem. These things. Let's look at Title 10 deals with the armed forces. Title 11 deals with bankruptcy. Title 17 deals with copyrights. Okay. Title 29 deals with labor. Title 34 deals with the Navy. So all of these things, they have to have rules, regulations. When you run a corporation or any kind of a business, you have to manage that, and you want to write down some bylaws, requirements, procedures. As a contractor, I actually wrote a little book for the people working for me on how we were to proceed in different constructional, processes. How to lay out a roof, what's the best way to do it, and how to maintain and get speed on the one hand and maintain, its what would you call it? Making sure
some important information is that this government, the Republic, has been funded in escrow $21 trillion. That's the word.
Yeah, but the thing is, when
the military decides that it's time to stand up, then we need that structure in place. I accepted a interim senator position for Maryland for the Republic, so I'm in on it. And the people the problem with volunteers is they don't get paid, and they need to make a living. So under this structure, people that volunteer and take a position would get paid. And frankly, I think you should be Chief Justice.
They also have to have an education. Okay,
absolutely, and that's where National Liberty Alliance comes in. I think you guys have a tremendous amount to, offer the Republic. But we're told that the Republic is the de jure government. They've already filed all the treaties internationally. It's an accepted entity, the Republic for the United States of America.
But here's the thing, though. We have. Do you realize the amount of work that it takes and would take to redo 57 different titles? Okay, U.S. Code titles. 57 of them.
I'm not for that.
You have to have
I would
structure.
say look it over and strip out what we don't want.
There's nothing. There really is not a problem in here. The only problem that's in here is that they put things in here to apply upon the people. For instance, USC 18, Crimes and Procedure. That has nothing to do. They've applied that to the people, and they put stuff in there that doesn't belong in order to apply it to the people, but it also applies to them. And it needs to be there. It just needs to be disconnected from the civil law and get rid of that. And we, the people, rest, because once they come into the court, if you have a fully informed jury, okay, and they bring anything that is repugnant to the common law, repugnant to the Constitution, repugnant to the Bill of Rights, which is part of the Constitution, anything repugnant to it, the people should be educated well enough. And you don't really need a really big education to sit on the jury. We wrote a handbook, and that's pretty much the extent of their needs, of what they need to understand as a jurist, and what powers and authorities they have, and to follow their heart, because God wrote the law in our heart. And in the New Testament side of things, God wrote that law into the heart. Now, prior to
there's any disagreement with what you said in the Republic philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes. So anyway,
let's work it out and get everybody together and.
Yeah, we'll talk. That's a good idea to get together. But just real quick to make the point, 18 is a major problem because they use it. 28 is a major problem because they've tilted it towards the people and the procedures of courts of justice, when they can only be dealing with courts of equity and not courts of law, let's say. Because both of them need to be courts of justice. But one is law and one is equity. And there's a difference between the two, of course.
Okay. I know you're the expert, and I'd be happy to try to put everybody together again. I worked with a fellow named Eric. I have his email address. He's probably on now.
We'll talk with Terry about this, because maybe she can help, put this together with you. And let's see if we can get practical civics in.
Who should I contact?
I'm going to give you a call. I got your phone number.
I'd love to be involved, Ed, here.
Yeah, Greg Ottensmeyer. Greg@ottensmeyer.com or Senator Gogo at.
And we'll do this in public. And again, I think we have to know the players. We have to get information on each other to some degree. And then we have to, of course, and then we have to have, figure out what do we want, 15, 20 minutes apiece to come on and give a presentation of what it is that they're doing, what their plan is, the details, the nuts and the bolts is what I'm...
Let's do that. I heard you mention a Saturday and 4 hours.
I think it's got to be a Saturday, and I think it's got to be 4 hours. I don't see any way getting away from it. It's going to be... and we open it up to the public. Everybody should come.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Okay. Terry, you want to work that out?
I'll work something out. I don't know.
We'll pile some
I think there's even more than that. So.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right, if we can get another person in, maybe or two, if we go quick. All right, Greg, we'll talk.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
It's after
Anthony from West Virginia. We only got a couple of minutes. We're over time already, but we'll give you a couple of minutes. Sorry that we're catching you so late. We can hear you. Okay. Coming a little low, but we can hear you.
Let me see if I can turn my volume up.
Yeah, try to get closer to the mic, that's all.
I'm right on top of the mic here.
Okay, well, you sound okay. Go ahead.
Good. It's Anthony here. I'm your District 7 coordinator. And we had that conversation on a Monday. I forget how long ago, sometime in November. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember talking with you. I'm trying to remember the details, but I'll pick them up as you go, probably.
We just talked about. I talked with you about the Republic, and and we had a little chat about it. We don't have to go into the whole talk, but I'm just reminding you because since then I've been involved with the Republic, and I did indicate that I wanted to stay with National Liberty Alliance, and you didn't want me to leave. You didn't say anything and asked me to leave, so that's why.
Oh, well, we would never ask anyone to leave unless they really were subversive.
I I wish my mic was on. When I came in, I had audio problems with my computer. I couldn't get my audio to work where I could hear what you were doing until 10:35. And when I came in, you were talking about the Republic, and I thought it was a very healthy discussion. So what I have, I'm going to be sending it.
Well, just so you know, if you're not aware of it, or maybe anybody else that's in the room or just listening in is not aware of it, I'm opening up a page here. It's underneath today's issues, and it's NLA Monday Open Forum videos. So I post these right after the meeting tonight, so it'll be posted tonight. And so anybody wants to re-listen or miss parts, they can get it here. The other thing, of course, is on the Monday night call, if they click on that, they also, Terry puts up an audio, and so the audio will be put up here by the date, which is today's date. It'll be up here. So for people who might have missed things and wanted to hear the whole thing or whatever the case may be, you know, we post them both in MP3 and MP4. Okay. And then we can talk more on the things that
can I share a little bit more information, or do you want to shut down now?
Well, if you can do it in a minute or two, and of course next Monday, you know, pick back up on it or whatever. But
well, I think it's important that we discuss it today, especially since what you guys were talking about. I'm sending you an email, and it has several links on it. 2 links on the bottom address the Northwest Ordinance. It's 2 PDFs that address the Northwest Ordinance and how they're using it, and one link is with that. I'm sending you a link of whoever was on just before me talked about Sandy Mariaki with the SGN podcast. I'm sending you that link. There's some excellent information there.
Well, there is a misunderstanding of the interpretation.
Can I please finish? There's a 37-minute introduction video that is there that I think everybody should see. And my comment on the books is I read Volume 2, and it wasn't boring at all. It was information that I had never seen, a lot of it before, and I trust that these people are being honest because everybody you're talking to is Christian. These people are all vetted. You cannot be involved like that man just before me unless you're vetted by people that they know you're Christians. They don't want to have anybody in office who's not a Christian. I know you disagree with that, but I don't. I happen to agree with them. And so I'll just leave it at that.
I don't. What do I disagree with? That you don't want anyone in office that's not a Christian?
Right. Right. You shared with me during our phone conversation that you know, you didn't see that as being a problem.
No, I didn't. I wouldn't even care if they're an atheist, as long as they follow the heart, because God wrote the law even in their heart, and so the law is in their heart. And as long as they're pursuing with a sense of honor, justice, and mercy, as long as we agree on that, I mean, we're good. I mean, being a Christian can't really be a test in order to be in government. I mean, that would be major. And our founding fathers didn't do that. They had atheists among them. Most of them were Christian, though. You know.
The video, I just happen to agree with them. I'm just telling you that.
All right. Yeah. Right.
That's their policy, and so. But anyway, check out this stuff, John. And
well, I really need, you know, that's just why I need things put into a nutshell, and then once it's into a nutshell, if necessary, I dig deeper, of course, and maybe do some research more and so on. I mean, I don't have the time to really go out and get down to understand everything that's in this group, and that's a lot of work, you know. But you know, it should be able to be delivered in a nutshell. The individuals who put this together, who have you know, the understanding of their structure and their plan, they should be able to, in 15 or 20 minutes or whatever. I think 20 minutes is probably reasonable time to be able to sit down and go from, you know, point A to point Z. And this is what we're doing. This is how we're structured. This is our plan, and this is, you know, our major points. You know, whatever. And then everybody can see, you know, what's there. And then we can start looking for the cracks, you know, the disagreements, because we have to look for the disagreements so that we can make sure that we're compatible and can harmonize. You know, that's the important thing.
I understand. I'm going to be sending you this email that's got, I would suggest, if you want the nutshell, if you can afford 2 hours of your time, you've got the 37-minute video, and you've got an hour podcast at SG and On. That would be the second and the fourth link that I'm sending you. I have them labeled. And if you could afford to time shift it while you're doing something else, listen, that would be great, because there's some good information there, some really good information.
All right, yeah, I probably already watched those videos, but at least some of them, because I follow SG, and but
last week.
Okay, I haven't seen that then. Okay, I'll go through that, because that'll allow me to go through, maybe take some notes on some major points.
First one is from on Odyssey.com at President Geiger and How to Save America. That was, you might have seen that one. So jump to the Sandy Mariaki with SG and On. That's the fourth link.
All right, good. Send me an email with the links, okay? Like. Yeah, send me the links, and I'll try to get through it before next Monday.
Great. Good hearing from you again.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
All right. We're 11 minutes after, so I'm sorry we have to end. We do have 3 people left in the queue, but we'll pick up back next Monday. Just get into the queue early. Okay, with that.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to end things for the night. Good night, all. Lord willing, we'll see you next Monday.